I agree with what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. Stop agreeing with yourself. Stop agreeing with yourself.
Hello and welcome to Glass Half Full Reviews, the optimistic fan show. Today I'm going to be doing one of my super fast, spoiler-free shows, where I give a very quick review of a movie that is not really in theaters anymore, but I just want to talk about it a little bit. And I'm going to be doing a couple of these in a row. So don't expect a too long video for any of these, but, short and sweet. Today I'm going to be talking about X-Men Days of Future Past. Of course, by now everyone's already familiar with the general story if you've seen the movie, and if you haven't, you probably don't know, but it has to do with the time travel thing where in the future it's pretty terrible for all of our favorite and not favorite X-Men characters alike, and Wolverine is the one who's forced to have to go back through time because I guess he's the most popular character in the franchise, so it had to be. And Bryan Singer, who's the director, I think is less capable with the X-Men than I thought Matthew Vaughn, who did X-Men First Class, is. I just don't think he gets X-Men as well. So, whatever. Fine. Wolverine's sent back in time, blah, 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 blah. He has to help out the characters in the past to stop tragedy before it happens. Not really going to get into a summary because by this point, either you've seen it or you haven't. So I just want to talk about what I think. So what do I think? Well, I did like this movie. I did not like it as much as X-Men First Class, but I think that was about as good as the X-Men movies have gotten. The first X-Men movie, I think, was pretty good in terms of setting up that superhero movies can be commercially successful, but I think it has a lot of problems. And X-Men 2, I think, is overrated, although some of the Wolverine stuff is pretty decent. X-Men 3 is just a travesty. I've never seen X-Men Origins Wolverine, so I can't really speak to that, but I've heard it's supposed to be pretty bad. I thought the Wolverine was okay, but I would certainly not call it the best. So, when you put all that together, First Class is still number one for me. I would call this a number two. A lot of the stuff in the past and the future, some things work better than others. A lot of the action scenes work pretty well in the future, I like that. And a lot of the specific acting stuff between James McAvoy playing Charles Xavier and Michael Fassbender playing Magneto or Eric in the past, I thought those two guys, again, did very well. Jennifer Lawrence didn't seem to have as much interest in the movie, or maybe as much to do, or her character wasn't done as well. Classic problem with Bryan Singer, I don't think he does his female characters very well. But I think that is all the little summary I'm going to give before I get into my classic 5-point breakdown.
5-point breakdown.
So once again, I'm just going to do this the way I always do these things. So, starting with acting was pretty good. I mean, most of these people are all pretty talented. I thought this new guy, Evan Peters, who played Quicksilver, was pretty good in this kind of fun new role, even if, again, his character didn't get as much to do as I'd like. Of course, Michael Fassbender was amazing. James McAvoy also very good. Jennifer Lawrence, I felt like didn't get as much to do. Nicholas Hoult playing Beast, he was pretty good. The older people, I felt like, Patrick Stewart got a little bit to do that was nice, but Ian McKellen, it just seemed like he was just there, just to be there. It didn't really seem like this is one of the most talented actors alive, and he's just going, blah, 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 time travel, mutants, no advice. Come on. At least with Patrick Stewart, he got the
Past me? Yes, do what I say.
That was a cool scene. In general, the acting is pretty good, it's just that there are other deficiencies, which brings us to number 2. So, the story, very convoluted, didn't really make any sense. The continuity makes no sense at all now, with all the time travel stuff. There are a lot of plot holes, a lot of contrivances, but it's kind of a fun idea, and I did like the denouement, where basically it has to come down to Mystique making the decision to be either a bad person or a good person. Of course, her action didn't really make sense in terms of how it actually would affect the future. Why would her not killing, Peter Dinklage's character really help one way or the other? It doesn't really make any sense. But, that's a story deficiency. But I did like the themes, though. I liked the theme of the story. And, it was okay. It was okay, story-wise. So let's move on to number 3. Now, the way this movie looked was also pretty good. I really liked the effects in the future. all the time shifting of portals and all the cool little effects of the different Sentinels from both past and future. I thought that looked pretty cool. I don't have any problems with that. I also really liked the Quicksilver scene where they were running around, but it was done very well. So, putting it all together, the look of the movie is great. Alright, let's move on to number 4. So, the way I felt leaving the theater was, it was a pretty good movie. It wasn't anywhere close as good as the last X-Men movie, by which I meant First Class, not the Wolverine, but I liked it, which is still the same way I feel now. I like this movie, but I didn't love this movie. It had too many little issues, little bits here and there that I had problems with to really make me love it, but I did enjoy myself. I did have a good time. It's nice to see some quality stuff from the X-Men, because I feel like there's just too much, not quality stuff from them. And I like the X-Men comics, so I used to watch the cartoon when I was a kid, so it's nice to see something quality for them. Alright, let's move on to number 5. So, this movie was successful enough, we're going to see another one, seemingly from Bryan Singer, at least for now, and it's going to be about the Age of Apocalypse, which is not exactly something I know so much about. I just didn't really read that much of the comics or watch those episodes of the cartoon show much, but I mean, it could be interesting. I don't think the idea seems kind of cool, so I don't have a problem with it. I hope that they don't rely too much on some of the same stuff they were doing before. I hope they take this chance of how time has changed a little bit to actually pursue interesting ideas. So I would like to see that. I mean, I don't want to go into the exact specifics of how time has changed or not, because that gets into the spoiler territory, but I think that there's definitely a lot of potential for some interesting directions to go. So, now, when I look back at my review today, I say, was it really spoiler-free? The answer is no. I have to say, it was not a spoiler-free review, because I accidentally said a few things that kind of gave away some plot points, and that was unfortunate. So, I have to apologize about that. I'm going to have to strike out spoiler-free from the title. It's now a minor spoilers review. I'm not going to say anything further than that because I don't really want to get into a real discussion. Anyway, that's the end. If you haven't seen this movie, but you want to know whether you should see it, think about it this way. If you liked X-Men movies at all, excluding that one bad one, yes, you should see this movie. I think that's really good enough. If you liked X-Men First Class, it's definitely a good movie to see. If you haven't seen any other X-Men movies, I don't think I'd recommend this one because it'll be too confusing with all the other stuff. That's all. Thanks for stopping by.